All right. I think we're recording. Let's see. Yep. Okay, everybody. We have a special fun person today.
Hey.
Hi, Daryl.
Hey. Hi.
So, this is actually the way I want it to be. I want all you out-of-towners doing this with me.
Yes.
Because you can't be in my living room.
I know.
And this is kind of like being in the living room.
It totally is. We're pretty lucky to have like this technology.
Yeah, like this is so much more fun than just being on the phone. Being on the phone is fun too, and we can kind of like walk around the house and this and that, but this is almost like sitting down with you having coffee. So close.
I really want coffee. I'm looking at you drink your coffees, okay? I've already had 3 cups, so I can't have any more, but I really want to have.
You can get a coffee cup and fill it with water and pretend.
There, that's what I should do.
Okay, so this, let's see. This week we're doing Mothers or Servants. It's chapter 5. It's a little teeny tiny chapter. It was only 1 page. And when we did this in my living room last week, I said, let's just read the whole chapter out loud, even though everybody probably read it at home already because it was so short. And about a third of the page is just scriptures giving examples of how Jesus served. Let's see, I just want to read the opening couple of sentences. A great preacher shared a vision he received of the angels in heaven. They were asked what they would most like to be if they were to go to earth. They replied that they would choose to be mothers because mothers have the most opportunity to serve. I thought that was cool.
Yes.
And you guys, I think both of you maybe commented when I said that on Facebook. I just put a 1-sentence statement, mothers are servants, and I just let it rip. And I guess my Facebook's, my friend list is kind of stacked. I try not to have it stacked in any one direction too hard, actually. I look for the crazies on purpose.
Not you.
No, you?
Well, okay, but there were a couple of more surprising comments on there.
I didn't ever see your comments, but I always think whenever I hear that mothers or servants type of talk, I think people have such a negative connotation to that. And I don't think people get excited to hear that they have to be a servant when they're a mother. Sherry's raising her hand.
I was going to say, yeah, you were talking about that angel, and I was just thinking, what an idiot. But I'm working on it.
And I do think this is something in our society that doesn't come naturally, that's for sure. Okay, like sometimes we have to work really hard at this truth. So
yeah.
It reminds me, I've been working with my children because somehow we got on this subject. I don't remember if it came from their Bible study we do on Thursdays or where, but there's a spot in the Bible, I don't even know where it is. I think it's the New Gospel. But it talks about the first is last and last is first.
Yeah, that's Matthew.
Principle, right? So like, I keep trying to, they don't get it. So now when anyone loses a race, they're like, but I'm really first. And so we have to be like, no, that's talking about, God and like up there. Not necessarily, real life.
I think that's Matthew 13.
I think it might be. I'm pretty sure it's in Matthew somewhere. I just don't remember why we were talking about that or how we got on it because we're studying the old.
Take your shoes off. Sorry, kids are all coming in from the snow.
You're fine. Okay, well, let's jump right in here to the questions because this is a lot of, we could talk forever about this, I think.
I think so, too.
Let's see. Oh, it's Matthew 20, verse 16.
There you go.
Oh, Matthew 19:30. I don't know. Hang on.
See, I'm glad I'm not the only one who doesn't know because that's a well-known one. We're failing. Yeah.
Matthew 19:30.
There you go.
Say good morning. She's crabby. All right, first question. How did Jesus show us an example of serving? And the first thing I thought of was last week's chapter where they talked about John chapter 21. And John chapter 21 was when the apostles were out on the lake all night fishing and didn't catch anything. And as day was breaking, they looked over towards the beach. They looked over towards the beach, and there was this person over there cooking, and then they figured out it was Christ. And Christ was on the beach. It started a fire, and he was cooking fish and bread. And he told them, throw the net over this side of the boat. And of course, they caught all this fish. And what was cool was this was after he had been crucified, after he died, after he was resurrected, after all that stuff. And the point of it last week was, if Jesus thinks it's important to actually physically feed his people something of substance before feeding them spiritually, how much more should we with our own families? And but it's the same thing. He was serving them.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Kenita.
I like him washing people's feet. That just blows my mind because I don't think I could do that. Like, I guess, I wash my children, but I get to a point where I'm like, okay, can't you do this yourself now? Like, because I'm just like, I don't know, like his selflessness and the fact that he was God, like, it's almost incomprehensible to me.
I know, and a lot of times I say, let's wash each other's feet, okay? Like I say that like as a quick way to say, we're here to serve each other, folks. Come on, children. And like, there's times where I get really angry about like cleaning up a spill or cleaning up a mess or any of that, and I'm like, how dare I get so angry about having to do this? It's my job to do this. I'm serving my children and cleaning up their slop. Great.
And it makes it a little easier too when we, if we think of it less as our job and more of leading by example.
That's true. Yes, that's true. Because Christ is always saying, do what I do, follow me. Even Paul is even saying that. And Paul's a great servant. I don't know if the questions go into Paul, but I think following what Paul does as well, considering he was an apostle,
It's a great way to show love to each other too, and I don't think about it that way. I think about it as something like that I don't want to do, and like it's pointless. Like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this, and I forget that like that is a way to love them. Like, helping them with spills in a gracious way is loving. It's not.
Yeah, and we want them. We don't want our children to grow into these adults that are like self-focused all the time. Yeah. We want them to look around them and jump in.
Yeah.
So the best way we can do that is by doing it ourselves and showing them this is life. This is how we do this.
Yep.
Easier said than done.
I do think it's something that takes practice, especially if you weren't raised to be that way. I think that can be a lot even harder.
Agreed. All right, number 2, read and meditate on Deuteronomy 28, verse 47. What are some of the ways we can serve our family joyfully? I have Deuteronomy 28, 47, and it was kind of weird. I'm going to start in 45. All these curses shall come upon you and pursue you and overtake you till you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commandments and his statutes that he commanded you. They shall be a sign and a wonder against you and your offspring forever. 47. Because you did not serve the Lord your God with joyfulness and gladness of heart, because of the abundance of all things. And then 48, therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom the Lord will send against you. Um, so obviously her point to this is, if we don't obey and if we don't do it right, look at the peril of our life.
Yeah. Yes. We're going to make things a lot harder on ourselves by not just serving joyfully.
So what are some ways that you serve your family joyfully?
Sherry?
No way.
Nick is looking at me like, I can't wait to hear this one.
I would say Darylyn's probably, Darylyn's a very good example of this.
In what way?
You're just good at having a smile, and you're good at juggling. You're just good at serving people. It's just something that you do naturally do. You don't complain a lot about it. And I think that's that people pleaser streak in you, even though that can go to a fault.
Yes, sure.
Most of the time, it's not to a fault. It's to your benefit. It's to the benefit of the people around you.
It's definitely something that you have. I struggle actually with having the right heart about it. Sometimes I do it because I know I have to, not because I want to, which I yell at my kids when like they obey with rolling in their eyes. Okay, it's the same thing. Sometimes I do it that way, which isn't the right way to do it.
Right.
I need to have true joy about it. But I do enjoy the end of a serving part, after I serve somebody or do something for somebody. I do enjoy the fruits of that after. And it does make you feel good when you do something nice for somebody. Jason and I were just talking about this because I'm coming to Vegas for a funeral, okay? And I'll be there for 10 days. So husband's home for 10 days. And I asked him, I said, so what kind of help do you want for 10 days? We have lots of people around that have asked, how can I help you, Darylyn? Well, you mourn the loss of your grandfather. And I said, Jason, people will bring you dinner. And he's like, no, I don't need dinner. And I said, but people want to bring you a dinner. They want to help you. They want to serve you. It makes them feel good. They want to be a part of our family, and they want to do that. So you should let them do that. So when people offer you help, you also have to accept it because it does make people feel good. It does. They are trying to be a servant to you, and we need to let people do that to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So,
Sherry, what are some ways you serve your family joyfully? Joyfully.
Yeah, I don't know. Joyfully. That I don't know if I have that word. But I don't know. That's not my forte. I'm more of a grumble and be upset, and then that doesn't help because then I'm just angrier. And when I do like fake it, I usually am joyful at the end of the day. Like, oh, I'm glad I took the time to do that even though I really didn't want to do it. Whereas when I say, screw it, I'm just going to do what I want, I feel awful, and then you get the guilt and the awful feeling later on. And it's like, well, that didn't work. So I don't know. I was looking at they were talking about, I was actually thinking about this. I'm going to probably go and write Mark 8-35. I think that'll be my new verse for a while because.
What does it say?
It says, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel, the same shall find it. Like,
perfect.
Whenever I feel like I'm starting to lose me and not taking care of myself, or like, I don't know, I've just been doing things all day long, like stuff, like I start to freak out. And then I go the complete opposite way instead of continuing. Like, I bug out and I'm like, no, this is not okay. I'm going to turn out to be a doormat and they're all just going to like leave me anyway. Like, this is dumb. Like, I don't know. Like, I start to panic and then I say, screw that. I'm not doing that. It's really not good.
So this is a hard issue for you. This is something that it sounds like God is telling you to work on. So yeah, that sounds like a challenge to you. So in these moments, you're going to have a little moment with yourself and you're going to say, self, I'm going to serve my family joyfully in this ridiculous, dumb drudgery. And you're going to tell God, like, okay, God, I'm doing this. And then he's going to help you out.
Yeah, I need to do that because otherwise I just, I have a hard time. And I think I read it somewhere too. So it wasn't just like one of those things Kate has said to me for years now. Eating it. Do you know, like, it feels wrong. Like I should be happy and want to do these things and I don't. And yeah, so I'm like, well, if I hate it, it's like Darylyn was saying, if it's a heart issue, like if I'm miserable and I don't want to do it on the inside, but I'm still outwardly doing it, it's like, well, then why? Like, I keep waiting for my heart to get right, and that's not working. So,
no, and practice. You just have to practice. You just have to practice and keep doing it. And there's going to be times where you succeed and other times where you don't. But keep practicing.
Agreed.
there we go.
Practice.
And this is also,
oh, go ahead, Kate.
I was going to say, this is also not my forte either.
I actually think you are a great servant. And I do think that you do like to serve. And I do think you do it joyfully, but maybe you're a good faker.
Joyfully.
I know.
Right.
Delegator. She can delegate and point it out and get everyone on task for sure, but I don't think she smiles and looks as happy about it as you do.
That's exactly what I would say about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that key, joyfully. I'm going to do this task. Yay! Yay, I'm serving. Hooray. That's not, when I do serve, it's not the abundance of joy out of my heart that I'm doing it. Not that, like you were saying, the fruits afterwards and the accomplishment and knowing that you did the right thing. Like, I do look forward to knowing that. Like, yes,
Yeah.
this thing. But usually my reasons, usually when I'm making the decision, am I going to serve in this way? I'm kind of like, and I.
Well, it's because it needs to get done. That's why I do it. I'm like, this has got to get done, and I'm going to do it X, Y, and Z and just get it done. Like, I don't know who else is going to do it better, so I'll just do it. Like, fine. It's not because I'm happy about it or I wanted to. That's the problem. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, ready for the funnest question?
Yes, bring it on.
Actually, I don't know if this is going to be better or the last one. Okay, number 3. Write down or share areas in your life where selfishness can negatively affect your family. What are you going to do to change these attitudes, Sherry?
That's it. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
That was a perfect example.
What? Yeah.
That's how people act.
Yeah.
What? You're like asking me all these questions?
No. When you're like, okay, you have a problem with this, and it's a person who's been saying, I need help. Can you help me? Can you navigate me through this thing?
Yeah.
And then you point back the finger and you say, okay, now you tell me how you're going to fix it. And they go, what? Why are you judging me? I don't want to talk to you about this anymore. And then they block you on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I have issues. That's what I've determined. And I'm not quite sure how to fix them.
Well, you can't fix them, actually. I think that's a first step, is knowing that you aren't going to do any good trying to do it all on your own power. So just give that up right now. And this is a God thing, especially if it's a struggle. It's a God thing, and you better be getting on your knees about it. When I'm struggling with something, I pray and pray and pray for the whatever it is that I need. So if I need the ability to have a joyful heart, I'm going to pray about that, or, knowing that I can't bring the joy on myself.
Oh, no, I get it. Like, and I do need to pray more for sure, but I feel like there's this problem where you have a problem and you go to God for the answer and God convicts you, right? Like, so you see what the right answer is, right? Like, you need to be joyful and happy and serve these people and you'll get the love that you want and blah, 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 right? But how do you get there? It's like, well, that's your free will, figure it out. Like, I don't know. Like, sometimes I'll pray and I'll get the answer, but I'm like, well, now what the fuck do I do with this? Like, okay, I get it. I see where you're right and I'm wrong. But now what? I don't know. Because sometimes you just do it is not, there's habits you have to break and different things. And sometimes, and if this is something that's been going on your entire life or integrated, it's even worse. Right? Penny knows. She gets it.
I think too, we were just reading about when you have faith, it can move a mountain. Okay. So you have to believe that God can take care of this for you, that you have the ability to do this stuff. And that's part of it. Like, you need to wholeheartedly believe that this will be figured out in your lifetime. Okay. And it will, but it might be a lifetime of lessons. It might be something you get to experience with your grandchildren.
I guess that's the hard part, right? Is wanting to fix this part of yourself that is broken, but like, that might be something you do your whole life. That sounds awful.
Right. I know. Hey, I've gotten into reading books, and I totally just sat and read a book the other day instead of doing all of my motherly duties. I was so selfish. Okay. Like, this book was so good and I just wanted to finish it. And I selfishly read the book and decided to put it away and go cook dinner. See there.
Well, look,
little things like that.
I have 10 books that I've read, and they're not even self-help books. Like, it's bad. And I just sat there and read them. Bad.
Bye. So I think the biggest thing in my family where if I'm acting selfishly, it absolutely 100% causes my children to be selfish.
Yes.
And then I get angry at them
for being selfish.
While I'm sitting there thinking, oh yeah, well, I just showed them that this is how it goes. And so now I'm getting it back sixfold from them. And then I have to take a step back and correct myself and then tell them how I was wrong and then hopefully get everybody back on the same page. It's hard. It's so hard.
And like, it goes back to, like you said too, with the serving, like being an example to our children. That's the best. That's where a lot of this just comes in. So, yep.
Yeah, that's always hard though, because it's like, now your kids are having the same problem you do and you can't even fix it in yourself. How the heck are you supposed to fix it in them? Because then you're just a hypocrite.
Yes.
Like, outward obedience from them, for sure. I can be like, you need to not do that. And then let's say they won't do that, but in the inside, they still want to do that. Yes. They still think that that's a good thing.
Right. And that's why I think motherhood by far is one of the best, fastest, surefire ways for God to continually refine us if we let him.
Yes.
For sure.
I think if we let him is the perfect way to say that. Because we could very easily raise our children and not learn any of these lessons and come out selfish, but at the end of this, our kids are going to not be where we want them to be. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. All right, last one.
1 and 1, 2, 3.
How does society's concept of asserting your own rights compare with the scriptures we have listed in this chapter? So that's a big one. Everybody thinks that, and not just women or mothers, but everybody, little Johnny should have his own rights and every individual for themselves and every man's an island and all of this and that. And how is this going to benefit me? Why am I signing up for this? How is this going to benefit me? Oh, I'm going to take dinner to so-and-so. What are they going to do for me? Oh, why am I going to, so that's a very American thing culturally.
Yes.
And so when we compare that against scripture, how do you think maybe the world views us differently or should view us differently?
Well, they should definitely be seeing us do this stuff without asking anything in return, right? We should be that example. Not like, oh, I'm totally guilty of this too, where like, this person did this, so I need to do this for them. Or I did this for them, how come they're not doing this for me? And it's hard not to think that way. And but when you do things unconditionally, sorry, Penny's mad that the Lego guy fell for that if you do things unconditionally, other people will do that. And you might not see the results of it. Somebody else might go do it to somebody else that you have not a clue about. But kind of like the whole pay it forward thing, let's say, okay? But I think God takes care of that, and he gives you peace in your heart knowing that you did something nice for somebody. Sorry, my kids are snow crazy right now, so go ahead.
I think it's interesting for us as moms of daughters too, because I don't know if I'm the only person who's like, if I just go around serving everybody all day, like, I don't want my daughter to think that, you know, mom just do everything and nobody has to help her. Or, you know, it's a very, like, is that feminism? I don't know. Like, I don't want her to think that I'm just a doormat and never stood up for myself, or, you know, you only sit around and serve. Like the world makes you feel like that's a really bad thing. Like something bad is happening to you. Like it's almost abusive. Like, that's abusive to do to your wife or your mother. Like to, I don't know.
You have to put that in the right context. God gave you a husband and a family.
Well, listen, you're telling me what is the difference between the world and scripture, and I'm saying that's a big one. What
it is.
The world says a wife and mother should be, and you should be all these things and then some, and you should have your own interests and your own ideas and do all this stuff and not sacrifice it for your family. But then, you know, scripture's on the other side and says, you know, that is your greatest purpose and, you know, the best thing you can do. And all the other stuff is just, I don't know, for fun almost. It's not your purpose. It's just.
I think that's actually how it, I think that's actually a really awesome way to show it to the world. So, for example, when we do our Azure pickup at the park, there's a lot of homeschooling families that meet there, and we play and then we pick up. And our truck driver, it was a few months ago now, he always like hangs around for a few minutes to chit chat with us.
Uh-huh.
And he just kind of looked around and he said, you know, man, you can really tell that your kids all love you guys a lot. It was just kind of a weird it was a weird thing for him to notice.
Uh-huh.
But I think it kind of definitely went into play with, he could tell that we were setting aside our own wants and desires for ourselves personally because we had this greater calling. And then looking at all of the children, he could see that it was paying off. And he made a comment on that. And I think that's one of the biggest ways that we are kind of a lamp set on a hill.
Yeah.
And we don't know when stuff like that is going to pop up, and we don't know when or who or how or why people are going to notice. But that's really one of the biggest ways that I think God shows the world more in line of what it's supposed to be.
I think so too. I think that's right.
Yeah, I agree. It's just hard because it's the little things that add up. And I mean, it's easy to see that now when we're talking about it. It's not so easy to remember, because I've been thinking about it lately. Like, I think ignoring your calling as a mother and all these lessons that you can be taught is probably going to end up, if you keep ignoring it or you keep fighting it, it's going to be like one of the biggest regrets of your life, you know, and I think there's plenty of other mothers out there who say the same thing. You know, I had a career and I wish I would have just raised my own children, and you know, children saying the same thing. And it's easy to see that when you're thinking of the big picture. It's not so easy to see that when your kid wants you to read the story to them again, or when you're trying to just like go take a shower alone and they want to come in there and sit and talk with you and you're like, oh my gosh, can I just get 5 minutes, please? It's hard to remember it during those times, but it's those little things that start to add up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know how you're supposed to remember that during the little moments. It's a problem.
You ask God to help you.
I do think studying this kind of stuff and keeping it in the forefront of your mind makes a difference. Because I think, you know, keeping the scripture in front of your mind, keeping all of that stuff. If you're only watching crappy television shows at night and never going to the Lord or anything, or praying or reading the Bible, it's going to be harder to remember in those little moments. But if you're meditating on these things and keeping it there, and that's what you're focusing on throughout the day, it'll be easier. When I'm about to have a baby, that's when I am like the most spiritual, I guess is the right word, but that's when I feel the closest to God, because I'm so freaking terrified that I'm like praying all day, every day. Okay. So, but that's when I'm like solving problems better, because I'm like in God at that moment. Okay. So.
Yeah. It's easy when you realize how much you need God to be with him. And then when you're like not in a crisis everyday mode, you're like, yeah, I'm okay. And
Yeah.
you're not. You're like, I'm drowning, but I can't see what the problem is here.
It's easier to let bad habits creep in and stuff when everything's going fine, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, I think everybody's kids are about to fall apart.
Yep, mine are. There's 2 screaming outside and they're covered in snow and they're like cold and they're really mad.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. And this was really a treat to have you this time, Darylyn. And we do this every Wednesday morning. So
yeah, I'll try to be more prepared.
Yeah.
I usually do school from like 9 to 12. It's in our schedule. So it's hard to break my schedule, but maybe I will.
Yeah.
I love you that much.
All right. Okay, Sherry, have a good week.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye, guys.
See ya.